Screw you guys, I'm going
Screw you
home.
guys.
Batman.
I'm Mr. Jefferson.
Can't do it.
I think that diatribe proof that none of us can do that impression.
Welcome to M8-Bit.
Hello everyone and welcome to M8-Bit, the pop culture podcast that's 6-bit's game show and a 2-bit pile of trash. I'm joined, as always, by Phil Cairns, Fareed Athman, and David Hall. I, of course, am Sam Riley. Say hello, everyone.
Hi.
Right, we're going to go straight into Synonym Grahams. Okay, so you know the rules by now. We just replace the words of games with synonyms, and then these three fellows have to guess what it is. Number 1, Distant Sob 3.
Far Cry 3.
Ooh, he's done it. He's only gone and done it.
He's gone and done it.
And that's a game about repeatedly smashing a vase.
Is it?
Anyone at all.
No.
The main
Explain.
villain's called Vase. He smashes his head in.
Is he the guy that's always like, you want me to tell you what madness is? That one.
Yeah, but he's not quite South African.
Is
But
he not?
that is quite close.
Diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity. Alright, number 2. Existence is unusual.
Life is Strange.
Oh,
yeah.
Now, if Faz can refrain from coming out with one of his terrible, quirky catchphrases, then he might just win this.
Yep.
Alright, number 3. This one's a bit more difficult. Straddle and sword, placard master. The last bit is one word.
What?
Straddle and sword, placard master.
Don't you?
See, can you hear the bottom of the barrel
Straddle
being scraped
and
every
sword.
week?
I know what it is.
Straddle.
Straddle and sword.
You said you know what it is?
Yeah. I wasn't lying.
Go on, what is it?
That's certainly for sure.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. It's Mount and Blade.
Mountain
Oh.
Blade.
Mount and Blade Bannerlord, which is the new one
Bannerlord.
coming out.
I have never heard
Told
of
you I knew
that.
it.
It's very, very popular on PC and it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One, I think, now. It's about having massive Game of Thrones-alike battles. Alright, number 4. Planet Grappling Group, Zero Compassion.
Grappling group. What?
The Planet Grappling Group, Zero Compassion.
No.
Earth Wrestling Team.
What?
Not quite, Dave. You're on the right track.
Oh, WWF No Mercy.
Yeah, well.
Ah.
World Wrestling Federation, no mercy.
Yeah.
Annoyingly,
I would never
I'm
have
probably
got
the
that.
only person who played that
It
extensively
was just.
in the room.
It was a bit like normal though. Dave set me up, and then I just knocked it out.
You
of
did
the
get
park.
one of the words that I thought would be the linchpin, so I'm surprised you didn't get it from there. Right, number 5. It's a very short one this time, but it's a difficult one. Unlit Annals. And this is the PAL territory name for it. The second word was different in the American release.
I don't know any synonyms for the word annals.
Is there a clue?
The clue is, he took a hefty wrench to her unlit annals. What are you laughing at? What's funny about that? That's factually correct, maybe. He took a hefty wrench to her unlit annals.
I don't know.
Alright, that one in America is known as Dark Cloud 2, in this country Dark Chronicle. Very well received RPG that was re-released quite recently as a PS4 upgrade. Anyway, this is the last one, and I believe that Faz has already won.
Oh, yeah.
So we could just sack it, but...
He's so
I didn't
close to
say
saying
it.
it. Go on, say it. He's
he's
going
almost
to say it
done
right at the end.
For anyone who doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, Faz has some catchphrases that he just loves to get in, and they're annoying, so we deduct all points whenever he says
I
them.
say them without thinking, though. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. Okay, first word, purge penis.
What, one word?
One word, purge penis, abscond from Slaughter Cove. And I've shortened it, I've shortened the first
Oh,
bit.
I know what the second part is, but I don't know what the first bit is.
Well, work it out.
What? Say it again.
Purge penis, abscond from Slaughter Cove.
I know what the second bit is. What the hell? Why can't I figure out what the first bit is?
What, purge penis?
Yeah.
Shuttlecock.
It's Shuttlecock for Xbox 360.
Something dick. Something
I can't
cock.
believe you've
It's
gotten
gotta
that
be-
close and you still can't get it.
Can I give you the second part? Wait, what's the clue?
The clue is they really should keep that bulging bald head locked up. Purge penis.
Bulging bald head.
It's a knob joke.
Purge penis. Oh.
But it also describes the main character. He's got a bulging bald head. Well, he's bulging and he's
Hitman?
got a bald head. No,
Is it Vin Diesel?
he is.
Dr. Robotnik.
Is it Vin Diesel? Yeah.
He is. How have you not got this?
Oh,
Riddick! Escape from Butcher Bay.
Yes.
Yes. I knew I had the second part.
See, I told you I shortened it because if I tried to do the Chronicles of, that would have made the whole thing just
You could have just
unwieldy.
put annals in there again and...
Yeah, I could have done, but that might have been a bit too easy after you got it. Right, so Faz won that by a landslide.
And
as
I didn't
he would,
say the thing.
As he would every
thing?
single week if he didn't say his little catchphrase.
Say it for the listeners.
I'm not saying it.
Say it for the
I'm not
listeners.
saying it. I'm not saying it.
Go and say it
Because
for
if
the
I say it
listeners.
now, then I'll say it later.
Right, so we're going to move on now to our second segment, which is, as always, a great bit, hate bit. And we're going to describe things that we liked this week and things that we didn't like. Although it doesn't have to be that timely, it can just be things that we happen to have played or seen. Okay, so I'm going to start off, and my great bit is the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You guys played the other two, so that's Tomb Raider 2013 and Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Have you? And what do you think of it?
No.
Absolutely love them.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. One of my favourite games. And both of them even.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is basically, even though we don't have a lot of information about it yet, maybe like Lara's maybe going to somewhere in South America, probably thinking the tombs are going to be Incan or Aztec or, in Peru or something like that. But yeah, the reason I ask about the other two games is because I've been replaying them recently and yeah, absolutely love them. And for the longest time, I was a huge Uncharted fan. I still am. But number 3, the release version was it wasn't up to snuff. I think that they ended up patching it after I'd already traded it in, but yeah, the shooting didn't feel right, the platforming wasn't quite there, it just felt a bit silly to me. But yeah, when the first Tomb Raider came out in 2013, I felt like it made the fight for survival feel real and Lara feel like a real and relatable character. It was just very enjoyable and it brought an edge that I don't think Uncharted had. Even Uncharted 4, which I would rank as good as those two Tomb Raider games, it goes for a different vibe. I get that. None of the heroes I don't think the heroes ever die in any of the Uncharted games. Whereas in Tomb Raider, right from the start, you are losing friends. And it just felt gritty. It felt more, I suppose you would say, honest. And just a very, very good game. And I was saying this to you, Faz, earlier about the Witcher series. The Witcher 2 is probably my favourite of the three. Simply because number 3 suffers a little bit from what I would call open world fatigue.
Yeah,
whereas if your goal with all this power of the consoles now is to just give everyone a huge open world, that's a laudable goal. But at the same time, what do you fill all that space with? In the end, what you get is a lot of pretty vistas and towns that, don't really have a great deal of interaction. And you're just riding your horse from town to town to get to the next objective, which is great if that's what you're looking for. If you want to feel like you live in that world, and everyone does at first enjoy that kind of scope. After a while, though, it becomes a bit of a hindrance, even with fast travel. Because if you're like me, you worry a bit about fast traveling too much because you're thinking, am I missing these random events that happen in the world? Like, for instance, Red Dead Redemption is a game that you mentioned you had that kind of open world fatigue.
Yeah,
and what happened with that game is if you try to fast travel everywhere, you would miss out on these random events like having your horse stolen or...
That sounds like a plus for
It-
fast
it
traveling.
is.
Like,
It is.
shall I go the long way and have my horse stolen? No.
Fair enough. But it's a dynamic events like that were the things that you would miss out on. So with The Witcher 3, I think that definitely, for me, suffered compared to the second game, which used these hub areas. And that's what the Tomb Raider games are like. They do that just like The Witcher 2 did. And they've not felt the need to create this massive, empty, open world. And I think it was such a great idea, and I really hope they stick with that for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, if in fact that is the name of the title. I'm also, of course, after E3 a few weeks ago, I'm very excited for the new Uncharted as well. I feel like Uncharted 4, as I said, is just as good as Tomb Raider and Lost Legacy. That could be another great entry. All right, so that's my great bit. We're going to move on to Dave's great bit of this week. What have you got?
Okay, so it's quite an old one technically, because I'm going to choose Duolingo, which I've been using quite a lot recently in the build-up to going on holiday to Italy. But Duolingo has just recently done the update that's been the most requested update since its inception, which is the Japanese language update. Do any of you use Duolingo?
Yes, I do. I do know it has Japanese on it. Yeah.
Have you tried the Japanese?
Hi, Sensei.
Yeah, he certainly has. Wow, maybe you should have done this section. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about it other than, it's really good. And I was actually thinking that none of you guys had used it and was hoping to try and persuade you all.
Sorry.
Persuade all 6 of our listeners instead.
Well, you should certainly get it.
I'll have
see.
you know.
If you want to learn,
learn
any language, it's just a really simplified way of learning It just builds you up step by step, doesn't it? And like the first words that you learn are usually accompanied with a picture.
Mm-hmm.
So like you learn them from this picture, and you sort of get repetitive questions, don't you? That are variations of like different tenses. I learned German at school, and I use it to keep me refreshed on that. And I've learned, well, not completely learned, but I use it to like learn a bit of Italian, which when I was on holiday came in like handy so much. Like there was so many like words and things that I could actually I could understand conversations that were going on in restaurants and things, which really surprised me.
It's kind of amazing how much like you start to understand of a different language by just kind of picking up
little bits,
like key words here and there. Because I've used Duolingo as well for the German. I think I've probably clocked up about like 100 hours on it, but purely on like the first 4 modules because I do it and be like, right, I'm gonna do it this time, and then I forget, and then I go back to it a month later and go, gonna have to redo those first few modules.
Yeah, I mean it's good because it gives you the streaks, which sort of encourages you to keep going, like and going back onto it every day.
You were in the lingots, don't you?
Yeah, and you can bet like you can say I'll wager like 5 of my lingots to
double the score in a few days.
I'll do it 5 days in a row.
It's clever as well because some of the things that are locked that you can't necessarily get straight away are like the sexy ones.
What are they? I don't actually know what you can unlock.
Yeah,
I unlocked one of them. I don't. It wasn't chatting up, but I think it was like a humour one on the German. Which
well, that was very well hidden then.
Sounds unusual. Maybe it wasn't humour. It was something a little unusual.
Let me ask you, for people like myself who've never used it and don't know what it is, it's a sort of game-like way of learning a language. Do you have to pay for it?
No, it's completely free. It's got adverts. I think you can pay to take those off, but they're really not.
But it's £10 just for a month, so it's quite expensive.
Yeah, but the advert, it's literally one advert pops up after you've done like your test, and you just press the X in the corner, and that's it. It's not like an annoying advert like you see on other apps.
Have you tried any others like Busu?
I've tried Memrise, which it's quite similar. I'd say Memrise is a little more game-like, but I would say Duolingo feels a little more intuitive.
Speaking of gamifying things, there is a game that you can get on PC on Steam, which is Survive by Learning Katakana. You know, the characters in Japanese, or some of the characters in Japanese. I believe it's very well reviewed, so that's another shout if you're trying to learn Japanese, you know, because I've learned a little bit of it in the past, and my brain's like a sieve for languages, so I forget them almost immediately. But I did at one point learn all the hiragana and all the katakana, and I was like, cool, I'll start the kanji, and the kanji's like 8 million.
Impossible.
And at that point I gave up forever and shall never be returning to it. But yeah, you would recommend it?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes as such. I don't think the Japanese is as in depth as some of the others.
It will be over time,
but
though.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
eventually, they have lots of people working on it constantly.
But I think, like, especially for learning the symbols, it's so good because you know he repeats them over and over, and like you go into the next sort of level, and it will put some of the old ones and some of the new ones in at the same time. So you know you're gradually learning new ones while repeating old ones, and it just ingrains them into your mind so much better than anything else that I've done in the past. Like, it's really cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so that's my great bit.
So now, Faz, back to you. What is your great bit?
My great bit for this week is slightly topical because E3's just gone. It's Spider-Man, the new game from Insomniac, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. It just looks like, obviously, every time something gets shown at E3, it looks incredible, and then when it comes to the actual thing, it's never as good. But I mean, if you can get anywhere close to what they've shown, I would be super, super pleased. And I mean, I think it'd be a massively nostalgic moment as well as like a moment to experience some new technology and how Spider-Man plays out on this current generation of console. It will bring back the memories of the Spider-Man 2 version on PS2.
I mean, it just has so much potential, and Insomniac, like Naughty Dog, I don't think I've ever put a foot wrong. I can't think they've ever had a bad game, as far as I can remember. So I have high hopes, just like you, and the trailer looked amazing. They've even said that even the QuickTime events were kind of just there, the amount that they were in, just to make the trailer pop a little bit more. Yeah. But the real game won't have quite so many of them.
That was definitely one thing that concerned me, just because I think E3 in general this year was super QuickTime event heavy. And it was kind of stressing me out because I hate that just over-reliance on them nowadays. I remember back in the days of like Shenmue, that was like the first one to use it, and then Resident Evil 4 was probably like the most mainstream one to like introduce
Look,
it.
God of War was often criticised for using them
Too
quite
much.
heavily.
Yeah, I remember there was a quick time event sex game in God of War.
There was, yeah.
But it's just like, if that's true then, and if they don't use them that much, I'd be really pleased, to be honest with you, because that was the one thing that put me off it in any way.
I would say my favourite non-Spider-Man-like Spider-Man game, and I've said this to you before, is Attack on Titan. And that the swinging mechanics in that just felt really right. There was a real sense of weight and movement and momentum. Some people have been saying that's because it's a totally physics-based swinging system this time.
Yeah.
Spider-Man looks like he's swinging too slowly. What would you say to that?
To be honest with you, I can't really remember like thinking that myself. I liked the sort of like the fluid movement between running across buildings and then jumping into a swing kind of thing. I think that was something that was missing in a lot of, well, in the old ones in general. You couldn't do that, could you? You couldn't run across buildings and stuff, as far as I remember.
Well, they've definitely integrated a lot of the things that they've learned from when they produced Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Things like, and this, I don't think I've seen this in other Spider-Man games, wall running.
Yeah.
Maybe he did a little bit of it in one of the games. There's been quite a lot. But yeah, I think that they've definitely learned some lessons there. And the fluidity of seeing Spider-Man switching from web slinging to running on a wall or running up a tower, something like that. The one thing that, again, back to the E3 expectations, the trailer looking too good to be true, was when he ran through the office as it was blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
And the way in which he was getting over obstacles was very, very gymnastic, and I don't think you could come up with... you couldn't come up with a system which would replicate that unless you basically just said, right, every time you press the jump button, he will do a different kind of jump to match the situation, which could be cool. You know, like Spider-Man will use his Spidey sense, I suppose, as the AI to work out where the incoming bullets or whatever, what angles they are. And the jump button will just be your cue to make him do a cool, flashy move. To
make it was more or less a quick time event, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that, but no more so than, like Uncharted, to get back to that, where the climbing mechanics are quite scripted.
Yeah.
You can't really do a great deal other than just follow the preordained path, at least in the older games, at least the first three. So what would you say is the danger for that game? How will it... because as we've said, Insomniac very rarely put a foot wrong. It's got the foundation of what looks like aping the great Batman Arkham fighting system. If they get anything close to Attack on Titan's swinging system, it will be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So what do you think could be the big danger for this game?
Well, I suppose a big thing would be the combat system. Like, the combat looked amazing. It looked perfect in so many ways. Like the way you could combine web with attacking or whatever, which you could do in pretty much all Spider-Man games. But in the way that they showed it, if they can't pull that off to the same extent, I think that's where a lot of the fun will be missing.
And speaking of pulling things off, did you happen to see the bit in the trailer where Spider-Man knocks a man off the building to his
with the
death,
crane,
but then he pulls him back in?
Yeah.
There's talk, in fact they've confirmed that you won't be able to kill people in it, which is fine because Spider-Man doesn't kill people very often. But that could feel, again, a little bit like watching a cutscene, because if you happen to kick someone off a building, Spider-Man will automatically web him and save him.
Yeah.
Although if it's Gwen Stacy, he'll probably accidentally kill him.
Then she's dead.
Yeah, spoiler alert for a very old comic. So yeah, I mean, I would agree with your assessment. It does look pretty damn tasty.
Yeah, it's just whether they can pull it off or not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Phil, what is your great bit of this week?
My great bit this week is the new Netflix series Glow. Anyone seen this yet?
No, I haven't.
Yet.
No, tell us more, Phil.
Okay. So it's a comedy based on women's wrestling.
Is it straight up comedy, or is it like it actually is a wrestling show with comedy?
Nah, it's kind of more like comedy drama. It's not written in the sense that they're trying to get you to laugh like every 30 seconds or whatever, in the same way that like Friends always had a joke like twice a minute or whatever. I kind of guess it's given a bit more creative freedom in the same way that a lot of Netflix series are given a little bit more creative freedom, and that they're not always sticking to the tags that they've been given, as TV shows are a lot of the time. But yeah, it's basically just it's about gorgeous ladies of wrestling, which was a real thing back in the 80s, and this is kind of just taking a look at that and sort of recreating it, with a bit of creative license. It's not exact, or it's not like for like. But I've watched the first 2 episodes, and it's really good so far. I think it's cast really well, it's shot really well, like it looks great. You guys have seen Stranger Things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like, I don't know if you guys thought the same with Stranger Things, that it kind of felt like really 80s, but not in that cheesy, over-the-top, stereotypical kind of way.
It's like it was paying homage to the 80s rather than...
Yeah,
like,
I always kind of felt that it was like someone had shot a TV show in the 80s using today's modern technology.
Yeah.
And this is the same. Like, the main character is Alison Brie
From Community.
Yeah. She plays Annie in Community. She looks just like she's in the 80s, basically. Like, it's done it really well. It's not like crazy over-the-top, big 80s hair, crazy spandex colours and everything. Although all that is included, it's just kind of done in a more, like, subtle, realistic way.
How much wrestling's in it?
Well, so far in the first 2 episodes, not a huge amount, because the premise is that it's just being set up. They're having to teach a lot of people like wrestling moves, try and get people on board. So there's not a huge amount of wrestling being done. But there is a great cameo in the first episode. So for WWE fans, John Morrison was in it, playing a character called Salty the Sack Johnson. I'm not even joking. I assume that's probably going to be what a lot of the characters are going to be called.
All called Salty the Sack Johnson?
Well, a similar vein. Obviously not all.
Which vein exactly?
All right.
I hope he's not in too much of it, because if you've ever watched another wrestling show called Lucha Underground, which gives him the opportunity to act, he doesn't really take the opportunity in any way.
He seems to be like a fairly integral part of the first episode, as though he's going to be their coach. And then he's not in the second one. I don't know whether that's a writing thing or it was literally just a cameo for a wrestler.
Yeah.
Maybe, he needs a quick payday.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's a bit legitimacy, I suppose, isn't it?
I suppose so, yeah.
I mean, to briefly interrupt, to answer Faz's question, I don't think there will be a great deal of quality wrestling in it, simply because...
Quality wrestling.
From what I remember reading about the real Glow Federation, or whatever they called it, it turned away real female wrestlers to focus on just teaching good-looking women and a few characters who they knew would get over with the fans how to put on a good enough quality of wrestling to draw in fans. So, yeah, I don't think the show is necessarily about wrestling, even though wrestling is the setting.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I kind of feel that the wrestling is just of like a side story almost. I think the premise of it is just quite good for being able to tell quite a fun story.
It's just a setting more than
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
basically.
Like bowling as the setting for The Big Lebowski, but it's not really a bowling movie.
Yeah.
Unlike Kingpin, which is a bowling movie.
It's a great movie. Not just a bowling movie, but an excellent movie.
It might be the best movie of all time.
But it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I should mention, if you're picking up the sound of a cheeping bird, someone is either laughing at us from the animal kingdom or is just loving every joke. So if you're picking that up, apologies.
He seems to have just sat literally outside.
Yeah, we're being heckled by a bird because this is a quality show.
It's
and,
like it knew.
Okay, we're going to move on now to our hate bits of the week. My hate bit is birds that just camp outside the podcast
So
and
annoying.
cheep
so
at us.
annoying.
No, what I'm actually going to go with, this is again related to Tomb Raider, but it kind of fans out a little bit, is changing a face of a character when upgrading the graphics, quote unquote, upgrading the graphics. And
Unless
you see
it's
this.
Max Payne.
You see this in a lot of HD upgrades. You see this in some of the remasters we get from PS3 to PS4 or 7th to 8th gen. And so Tomb Raider does this. And I find that if you look at when I played it on the PS3 and you look at Lara's face on that, and then you compare it to the Definitive Edition, which is Xbox One and PS4, it just feels very washed out. Like she has a new lick of paint, essentially. She looks sort of fresher faced, and I guess she does, in a way, look more like she does in cutscenes. But her eyes just don't have anything behind them. There's no kind of... There doesn't feel like there's a character in there. They just look like robots, like Uncanny Valley.
Does she look like she's seen too much shit?
Well, she has. She's about to in the game. And it kind of bothers me. And if you look at direct comparisons, like there's no denying that the textures look better. They have higher quality, better resolution, but they just lack the soul. And the eyes are a big part of it. But it almost looks like she's constantly got mascara on as well. It's like they beautified her a little bit. And you know, she's already really pretty. So why do you need to sort of beautify a character who is fighting for her life? I mean, other examples, the one that annoyed me the most is if you have played Final Fantasy X, the remaster of that. A lot of the faces have kind of been upgraded, quote unquote. But the one that really gets me is Yuna, who is one of the main characters you don't play as. She is a really, really important part and the emotional core, I would say, of Final Fantasy X. And she's got this kind of slightly cherubic face in the original. It just makes her seem more innocent. And then when you realise the big twist in the game of what's going to happen to her,
Spoilers.
it does make, I guess it just has more of an emotional resonance because you feel more protective of her because she is like somewhat childlike and innocent. But she just has this really emotive face at the same time. And what they did with the remaster, and again what happens with a lot of them, is they feel like they have given them a facelift in every sense. And so they're tighter skin, less emotional. And I guess it's just hard to go back into those old systems and upgrade them fully and really match move for move what the face is doing. Yeah. So oftentimes I find it's very disappointing, and she was probably the biggest example of that. But I've also gone back to playing Uncharted 3 again recently because, as I mentioned earlier, it didn't quite do it for me, and it's probably the only Naughty Dog game that hasn't. So I've decided to replay it, and I'm enjoying it more this time. But one thing that does annoy me again is Elena's face in it. And Elena's a big character in the Uncharted series. She kicks some ass, but she's also the kind of voice of reason a lot of the time. But seeing her in the third one, especially before they remastered it, in this case it was just the original release, her face was just like more taut, less emotion in it, and it just crucially it didn't look like her anymore to me. And I guess it comes down to having a bit of an emotional connection with these characters, which is the point.
Yeah.
And for that to be taken away by having that facelift, I suppose it's the same as what you don't see on the facelift programs on TV, where the husband and the family are like, wow, mum looks great now. But then a month later they're like, oh my God, who are you? Oh, right, hi mum. You know, that kind of disconnect. It just is a bit weird, and it's very hard to connect with those characters in the same way. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed it in games.
No, not really.
I mean, I can think of it as the one where the Simpsons talk about it when Mo has the facelift. But again, yeah, if you're used to seeing a particular face, I mean, I suppose even the Simpsons, when the characters change hair color and skin color from like
the new animation style. I hate it.
Yeah, so like there's that disconnect as well. But yeah, I don't like change. I fear change.
Yeah, you could just put it down to that, but of getting used to something and then hating the revision. But something like Uncharted 2 to 3 is more forgivable for me. Of course, you could say Nathan looks quite a lot different from 3 to 4, but because that is a leap in graphical technology, I'm fine with it. It's just a sort of new vision on an old character. But when you're taking something that's already been established and you're upgrading it and you change things like that, it really bugs me.
It kind of sounds like the video game version of when you see your mate take his glasses off and they just look a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Like you're not used to seeing that.
I know it's still him, but he looks different.
Yeah, like Milhouse's tiny eyes, to bring it back to The Simpsons once again for the 8th time this episode. Alright, so basically that's my 2 cents on that. I just think, leave the faces alone. Change everything else.
I agree.
Upgrade the textures all you like, but it kind of links in a little bit to my problem with a lot of remasters, where it's not just the faces, but a lot of the textures, they just almost go into like Unity or whatever the graphics engine they're using is, and they just go, oh, here's a really detailed but low res metal sheeting texture. Let's just get the standard metal sheeting texture because it's high res and replace the original with that. But it's not designed from the ground up for that game. So I remember the special edition of Gears of War 1 for the Xbox One. It lacked a lot of character that the original had because it didn't feel designed for that universe. It felt like they had just gone in and taken these higher res elements and pasted them over the top. And it is sloppy, and I do really get annoyed with these sloppy jobs that the remaster companies, because it's never the original company, it's always farmed out to someone else. I just hate that perhaps they don't have enough time or resources, or maybe they're just lazy. Whatever the case, they're not giving you the same sort of quality, even though it does look better on modern machines. So yeah, that's good. That's my hate bit of this week. Hopefully some people out there will agree with me. If you don't, let me know. Call me an idiot online. I don't care. So, Faz, what is your hate bit of the week this week? As Dave has not done one, we'll just move straight on to you.
So, going back to stuff that I was talking about very recently, my hate bit for this week is overselling games. So, essentially, like, it's always at E3, really, whenever they sort of release a new trailer or some gameplay footage, it always looks shit hot. And whenever it comes to the actual game, it's never that great at all. I mean, it happened with Rainbow Six Siege. That was a massive one. Absolutely nothing like the trailer. It happened really for me with The Last of Us. Nothing like the trailer. Army of Two was another example of a game that was just absolutely nothing like the gameplay.
Killzone 2 is probably one of the most famous examples as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah. Not bitter there, Dave. I understand that we have a limitation with software, the hardware that you've got to work with. But what's the point then in showing something that's so much better than the end product? It's essentially false advertising, isn't it?
Well, that's what they tried to sue the creators of No Man's Sky on.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky looked incredible, and I genuinely thought about buying a PS4 just so I could play it.
Just play it even, yeah.
And then it came out, and I was just like, I dodged a bullet there.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating though. Like, I mean, even with The Last of Us, when they showed the original gameplay of that, the AI, Ellie's AI, was so amazing. Like, I was genuinely gobsmacked, and I think it was quite a while ago, wasn't it, when they first released it? I was obviously in a place where I was much more naive and willing to believe that it was that good. And I think, like, looking back at it, I could probably say to myself, why did he think that it was really going to be that good? But then why show it to be that good? What's the point?
I think a lot of the time it's almost like concept art. You know how concept art works, where you will get someone to paint something absolutely incredible to give an idea to the other artists who will have to decide what parts of that to draw upon and implement into the game or the film or whatever you're working on. And I think as the industry's maturing, people are coming to realise that a lot of these videos that they're putting out at E3, they shouldn't always be believed, because sometimes perhaps the intent is not to show exactly what the game will be like, but to give ideas of what you can expect in the game. And that might be a bit of a cop-out, and they should really tell you. But you can't deny that some of those Ellie moments are in the game. It's just that they're not a regular part of it. She's not that helpful of a companion.
I guess so. I mean, it just feels like, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like if those things in no way, like, you know, for example, with Army of Two, there were so many unique sort of interactions between the two characters on a co-op level. You know, like, one of them would get up on top of a ledge and pull the other one up, and then, like, they'd give each other a high five and stuff like that. Like, you know, I get what you're saying in that, you know, you're trying to show what to expect from the game, but if you're not going to receive that whatsoever, I don't think that you should be overselling it in that way. Like, I think, you know, for Last of Us, going back to that example, if Naughty Dog hadn't included all of those moments where they made the AI look incredible, the game would have still looked really cool. You don't have to add that in to make me want to buy it. And I'm going to just be more annoyed than anything if I get to the final product and none of that's there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess what you're saying, I would agree with the fact that if your game's already going to be great, don't oversell. Yeah. But the other thing you probably have to consider is that a lot of the time, unless they're very close to release, there can be changes made. So maybe they are betting big on, like, for instance, Ellie's combat system, something like that, and then later they come to change the game. Because as I've read over the years, a game doesn't really start to really fit together in its final form until a few weeks or months until the end of creation.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, it's not just the fact that maybe they're trying to give a general idea of the game, a concept art almost for the fans, but that as well, you know, this idea that, oh, we're going to make this big feature, shit, we have to cut it, or reduce it. So there are excuses for it. I think it's sad that sometimes you do feel like they're pulling your leg a little bit, but
you feel kind of cheated when it comes to buying it.
But ultimately, I think incidents like Killzone 2 and more recently No Man's Sky have made everyone a bit more clued into this kind of behaviour, and so
like
we're not going to be.
Isn't it really? Like everyone
exactly.
knows now.
I think that pre-orders have definitely dropped in the last few years, and people are becoming a bit more. They're wising up to this kind of behaviour, so that's, you know, it's a win for everyone. Phil, what is your hate bit of the week?
My hate bit of the week is the Final Fantasy VII remake. Just because I don't think it's ever going to get done.
It could be like Guns N' Roses.
What's that?
Could be like Guns N' Roses with
What, it comes out and it was really shit. That'd be even worse. I'd rather it just didn't get done. Final Fantasy VII is probably my favourite game ever. Like, I've played that. I've completed it, like, pretty much 100% multiple times. And I was super excited when they did that, like, it was that teaser graphics of, like, they redid the intro to the game.
It looked amazing, didn't it?
And everyone was like, oh my god, like, they're going to remake it. And then nothing was ever said about it. And then for years and years and years, everyone was like, they're going to remake it. They're definitely remaking it. And finally, like 3 years ago, they announced that they were remaking Final Fantasy VII, and everyone lost their shit, including me. And then very recently, Square Enix basically said they're bringing it all back in-house, which basically means back to square one. Like, reading between the lines, they haven't said that, but they were just, it seems that they were very concerned. I forget the name of the company that was developing the remake, but they were concerned with the way, the direction that it was heading. Yeah. So they brought it back in-house, and it sounds as though it's back to square one for the remake of the game.
Well, at least that means they won't be doing episodic anymore, you would hope.
No, they've still confirmed that it's probably going to be episodic. It's going to be in 3 parts. Because the original game was in 3 discs. Mm-hmm. So I think they're sticking to that in a way. They just haven't confirmed whether it's going to be like 3 separate games, full-priced games, or whether it's going to be episodic in the way that like Telltale is episodic. So we'll have to wait. I know
which one I think it's going to be and which one I would hope it would be.
Well, in a way, I kind of hope it's 3 full-priced games. Well, I know that sounds crazy, but it means that like there would be substance to each. Well,
not necessarily.
It doesn't mean that, but you would hope that there would be. Like, obviously, I would prefer it to be cheap and cheerful, but I don't really care as long as it's done properly. I'm a bit wary because they seem to. It's not like it doesn't seem to be like a remaster. It is a remake. Because they're changing a lot of it. It's not open world, as far as I'm aware, but it is going to be like real time. So I don't know if you guys have played Final Fantasy VII. It's similar for a lot of the Final Fantasy games and lots of other games, that when you're walking around the world, all of a sudden you'll go into a battle.
Yeah, like Pokemon kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was the same for Final Fantasy VII. It's not going to be like that this time. You're going to be walking around the world, and you will come across groups of enemies that you'll have to fight.
So more like Final Fantasy 12 in that respect.
Yeah. They've said that, because it was turn-based as well, Final Fantasy 7, and they've said that it's probably going to be a bit more like Devil May Cry.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, which I'm hoping it's... I don't know. I'm really wary about this.
I think, what they mean by that is probably like more RPG action. Than just RPG. So not really necessarily Devil May Cry, but more like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, probably. Either way, I'm really, really annoyed that it just looks like it's never going to happen, and I'm kind of really, really wary of how much they're going to change it. Like,
it all worked out for Duke Nukem Forever, right? So it's fine.
Don't joke about this, Baz. This is serious business. But yeah, so I will be very surprised if it comes out before I die.
Well, perhaps if, a lot of the times, and I'm guilty of this as well, you hope for a remake of a game you loved because you want to play it again and not have it feel dated. So I guess part of it is be careful what you wish for. With Final Fantasy VII, it's such a big game that maybe the best course of action is that it never comes out. And I do remember them saying, we will never make an FF7 remake until we have made a better game. And I think they were hoping that 15 was going to be that game. And it's, I think, mostly agreed upon that 15 was an 8 out of 10 across the board. Mm-hmm. And that is certainly not up there with the heights of your FF7s and your 10s, I would say.
Yeah. It's funny that they say that, though, because I have a feeling, critically, if you look online, 8 or 9 might have a higher rating than 7, which is pretty dumb if that's what they've said about it. But I can't remember.
But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Yes, fair enough. We're going to move on now into M8-Bit. It's the part of the show where we do dumb impressions that are somehow tangentially game-related. So what we're going to do is, Dave, if you'll do the honours and find our game of this week, we'll take a Metacritic user review, and each of us will read it out in a silly voice halfway through what we're saying. Someone else will read out a situation that character has to adapt to. Okay. So I'm going to pick out one of these names at random. And I've picked out either Quagmire or Peter. This is a double barrel one. I can choose either or.
You do one line in one voice and one line in another.
I am not that multi-talented, unfortunately. So I'm gonna dip in again and see if I can get a better one, because them's the rules and I'm allowed to. Tom DeLonge from Blink-182. All right, I'll go back to the other one. I'll do Peter Griffin if I can.
I hope I don't get that one.
All right, I'll give that a go. So this week, the game that we are looking at is Injustice 2, and the user review that I'm about to read is Muppet Pilot's Review. I'm just going to read the first, or rather, let's go with the last paragraph of that. Let's see how well this one goes down. Like the Hindenburg, most likely. Okay.
Topical joke for you there.
Yes, very topical.
The lore and comic book stuff here is great. Don't get me wrong.
With swollen lips.
With swollen lips.
And it is a gorgeous game.
That's Ray Romano now.
Mediocre.
But as a fighter, you know what's supposed to be its main feature. It falls flat when compared to many other titles.
Right. So that was Peter Griffin with swollen lips. Right, so we'll move on to Dave now. If you want to pick out one of these lovely, lovely choices. Who have you got, Dave?
I've got Emperor Palpatine.
Emperor Palpatine.
I can't remember what he sounds like.
Do it.
No, yeah.
Yes, okay, I've got it.
All right, so you're sticking with Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
You're going to be reading Supersonic Lion's middling review. Not to say that the review itself is of medium quality, but he's given it a 6 out of 10. If you just want to read from the halfway point, Dave, and I will read out at random one of these situations for you.
That's Dark Lord to you.
All right, off you go, Emperor Palpatine.
Yes. The game would have been 7.5 with better netcode, but it does not feel very interesting as a whole package. Yes, feel the dark through you. Yes.
Trying to blow out a reigniting candle.
Yes,
Do it.
Yes, the equipment gear, whilst it... While it sounds as good, does not make it any interesting. All in all, a boring game for me and totally not worth the price.
Have you seen Star Wars? You know what a Star Wars is?
A long, long time ago in a faraway galaxy.
Very good. I'd almost want to give you the win for coming back with that. Right,
Might
so
save the impression.
Yes, if you want to pass over to Faz now, and there should be 2 red reviews left.
Oh yeah, Artist Gamer.
Okay, so as Faz is all the way across the room, we will have Dave pick at random Faz's impression.
Faz, you will be Eric Cartman.
Are you happy with that? Do you want to switch? Do you want a Nintendo Switch?
It was just a boy. I can't remember what he sounds like.
It's a bad cat. Screw you guys, I'm going
Screw you guys.
Batman.
I'm Mr. Jefferson.
Can't do it.
I think that diatribe proved that none of us can do that impression.
Okay, take 2.
You've got to do one of them. What's the second choice?
Reed, you will be Boris Johnson.
Conservative clown Boris Johnson.
We have lots of...
Lots
lots of things.
Theresa May.
Lots of glutinous chocolate cake. Extensive. Whose voice is that?
I don't know, but it's close enough. Who are you going for then out of the 2?
I'm gonna try Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson it is. All right, and Dave will give you your scenario halfway through. So, beginner, if you will tell us quickly who the review is by.
It's by Artist Gamer.
Okay, off you go, Boris Johnson.
My early impressions. Holy Clunkfest, Batman.
In labour.
Boris Johnson in Labour. What a turn up for the books.
From the menu to the gameplay, Injustice 2 is a total clusterfuck. Just like Brexit. Dial combos and projectiles. I'm just a posh man. And
Do a confused posh man
and
who's having a kid.
Are still in full force, and it's almost as if the cheapest designers are telling you to find the cheapest moves and setups and spam yourself. Victory.
Codswallop. Right, thank you for that, Boris.
No worries.
Yeah, so, alright, Dave, if you want to pick out Phil's, as Phil gets ready for his impression, and pick a paragraph and tell us who you will be reviewing, or rather, whose review you will be reading, Phil.
Okay, so I will be reading Alex Fennick's review, and they gave it a 3 out of 10.
Well, this should be good then. Dave, what has he got?
Yeah, baby, you're Austin Powers.
That was a really good start.
That's a good one for you to
What does Austin Powers sound like?
Not that. Yeah, baby.
Very good.
It's a little bit nutty.
It's a little bit nutty.
That's a man.
All I've got is Mick Jagger's voice in my head now.
Right, do you want to stick with Austin, or do you want to...
Well, let's see what the other one is. We'll see what the other one is.
He
Might
could
go
have
back to
All right, Dave, do the
Austin
honours. Who is his other choice?
Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog. We've already sort of had Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog.
So who are you going for?
That's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with Kermit the Frog because,
Okay.
as we know, I always do bad impressions.
Well, that's kind of the name of the game.
Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Okay. Simply put, the enemy AI can do things a human control player cannot.
Okay, this should be quite difficult because pretty sure Kermit doesn't have any. Cleaning his teeth.
I don't even. This includes things such as performing career transitions.
It might have gotten better since you started doing that.
he's rubbing his teeth with his finger.
Oh, it's gone off. Shit. It's gone off. There we go. Performing a really transition from close to the middle of stage and with a basic special move.
Wow.
And that rounds off a very underwhelming M8-Bit.
But the underwhelming episode of M8-Bit continues with our final round. But first, we must decide who lost least in that round. I'm going to go for Dave, simply because Dave made quite a good comeback to one of my little jests at him. That's how low the quality has been this week. A unrelated part has won, according to me. What do you think, Faz?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Dave.
All right, and Phil, who have you gone for? Looks like it could be a clean sweep for Dave.
Well, I did enjoy Dave's little joke at the end there, but I'm going to go with Sam, just because
thank you very much.
It wasn't quite a Peter Griffin impression, but it was some good impressions of other people.
Can I just ask everyone
That's
what
what I
was
aim
wrong with
for.
Boris Johnson?
There's a lot wrong with Boris
That's
Johnson.
true, fair enough. That's good enough for me.
And the fact that you didn't take the opportunity to have him being in Labour Party.
Oh, that would have been good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you didn't.
I'm unfortunately not that sharp or witty.
No, just like Boris. All right, and Dave, who are you going to vote for, as you can't vote for yourself?
So I'll go tactically, and I liked Phil's brushing teeth frog.
Excellent.
Which is the first impression we've had that's been improved somehow by the impediment we've tried to throw down.
I did think it was quite a good impression of just brushing teeth in general. just not that Kermit the
Sort of
Frog
like
bit.
a car that gets faster over speed bumps is what you've achieved there. So congratulations to Dave then. I believe that's your first win.
It is, yeah. No,
Excellent.
thanks.
Well done, Mr.
Just a
David.
little bit annoyed that everybody seemed disappointed that they had to vote for me.
Right, so we're going to go on to our final segment now, which is, as always, Pun Up. You know the name of the game by now. I come up with a theme, and we have to come up with game-related puns that match that theme. So in the past, we've had porn, we've had books, we've had all sorts of stuff. So this time, it's comics. Right, so I'm going to start off, and I'm going to say that my comic and game-related pun is The Nintendo Game and Watch men.
Yeah.
Quite like that.
Right, yeah.
You like that?
Congratulations.
Yeah.
On a
Thanks,
successful
Dave.
fun.
Yeah. So my first one, I will start.
I would have preferred a laugh, but a sort of a knighthood is perfectly fine.
I'm going to keep it simple for my first one. Banana Manhunt.
I like that.
I love how, like, when someone says comics to me, I think like Marvel, DC. You just think like the most obscure British like.
Is there a Super Ted one?
No, I'm not sure that's
well.
technically a comic book character, but Banana Man, Eric, who lives at 29 Acacia Road, in case you're wondering, is a comic book character.
I see. Well, that's I like it. Faz, what have you got for us?
Mine are all X-Men themed.
Okay.
So my first one is Tony Hawk's Pro-fessor Xavier.
Wow.
It's basically, he's just attached 2 skateboards to the bottom of his wheelchair.
Puts his fingers to his head and just does door kickflip. Right, Phil, what have we got now?
I'm gonna go tactically actually, because I kind of think some other people might have this. Flash Bandicoot.
Ooh,
Nice.
Ooh.
Pretty good. Okay, my second one is a Superman for All Season pass. Basically, you get the start of the comic, and then you have to pay for the whole rest of the comic all at once, while everyone else sort of just buys each individual issue like a sane person.
Okay, I'm going to go with Dennis the Menace Attorney.
There was a definite pause there where it's like my brain sort of the
That's,
rust on my brain.
Mashup of Dennis the Menace and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Very good.
What would
game
the
we
game
all-
be? Would it just be Dennis as the attorney?
Oh, you could have also had
he would be shit.
could have also had the Dark Phoenix Wright saga.
Yeah, that would also.
Yeah, hopefully that's not one of Faz's because that is an X-Men.
No, mine are absolutely terrible.
Such as
Does anyone remember that game MAG, Massive Action Game?
No, nobody remembers this game.
No.
It was probably the worst multiplayer PlayStation game I've ever
Let's
played.
hope we remember
Mag,
the comic book.
Nito.
wow.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh my god, these are really bad this week.
After winning your other round, you're taking it really easy now. This is easy street for you, Faz.
Jim, but do you remember the fact that I came up with these probably 30 seconds before we started finishing?
You had all that time. You had all day. I don't care
I
if you've
did
got
have
a
all
full-time
day,
job.
I did, but I'm a working man. What can I say?
What a life.
No,
Anyway,
not
Phil, bring us some happiness once again.
I've got Bane Simulator instead of Train Simulator. It would basically just be, the opening credits to The Dark Knight Rises. He'd just be like, "Why would you what's the thing?
Why
that's
would
it.
you shoot
Shoot
a
a man before throwing him out of a train."
Okay, my third one is Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, Effect 2 for PlayStation.
That was as bad as mine. Come on.
It's terrible.
That's amazing. Because imagine, like, the man who has, all these powers, but he just can't for the life of him find a copy of Fear Effect 2.
Although, if you think
Retro
that
Helix.
Daredevil pun was bad, just wait till we come back round to me.
Oh, okay. Right, Dave.
Mine's-
Right, I don't know if anybody's ever played this game or read this comic, but Samurai Bombjack. Anybody?
Jack.
Do you ever play Bombjack
No.
or read the comic of Samurai Jack?
You could have had Samurai Jack 2.
Could have had
Go on, Tekken.
Samurai Gunjack. I do love a good
Exactly,
Tekken
but you've
one.
already used that Tekken Jack
I have,
last
yeah.
week.
I don't
Or
wanna-
2 weeks ago, should I
I
say.
don't want to be taking the piss.
Oh, he's done it again. He's gone meta. He's actually been
Fun
funny
with
outside
puns.
of the game. Right, Faz, what have you got for us?
They're all just so bad. I've got like a big list here. How about Weapon X box?
Good lord.
Oh,
Well, thanks for coming.
Moving along.
Yeah.
you better be saving your best to last.
No, I'm not.
Oh no.
Phil, what have you got?
All right, okay, this one's really a stretch. Right. Resident Daredevil 4.
Why does it have to be number 4? It could have been any Resident Evil, but you went for number 4.
Well, it's just because I like that one.
Yeah, fair dues. It's good. It's good. Strong Resident Evil entry.
All right, this one's my final one, fourth and final, and it's Zelda related. It's Navi for Vendetta.
I kind of like that one,
And
yeah.
that is, in that game,
Hey,
you would basically Yeah, the person who is like trying to liberate London or Hyrule from an oppressive totalitarian regime is just a really annoying fairy type thing.
Hey!
Shaving Link's head in a jail cell and then blowing up Parliament. All right, not Phil. Dave, what is your fourth and final?
Our fourth and final one. So, anybody read the Beano?
Nope.
Yeah.
Right,
You do.
okay. Phil may appreciate this one then.
I always appreciate yours.
Based on the name of the Dennis the Menace's pig, it's Road Rasher.
I think that might be my favourite so far. It's so shit.
The quality is definitely dipped.
At least games have so shit that the funny whereas mine are just shit, like fuller.
You know, the best week just so happened to be the porn week, and I think that's because most puns are like genital related.
Yes.
The week I was missing. Just
No, you were here for that.
I think
That
it's
was-
just
that
a
was
lot
week one.
easier. It was the first week. It was the first
Yeah.
one we ever did.
Was it?
Yeah. Anyway, Faz, what is your fourth and final?
Oh, come on, man. There's like no, like, Fight Night Crawler.
Okay.
Or Altered Beast.
Altered
That's
Beast.
just the name of a game that happens to have the word beast in it.
Oh, no. That was like my Gone Girl the other week.
Right, say no more, please. Phil, what is your fourth and final? Take us out on a good one.
Right, okay. My last one, although I do have a few more, is Killer Croc Band.
Yeah.
Also, Killer Croc 2 would have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got then, Phil?
Okay,
Since
so
you have more.
I'll quickly run through the other ones that I had. So I had Justice League of Legends,
That's
Pretty
good.
Yeah. Could give that one pass for a pound.
Stan Hercules.
What?
Well, Hercules
no.
apparently is a comic. I had to do a bit of research for
I
this.
see.
And then the last one, it just doesn't even really work. It's just Tomb Riddler.
That's the best one.
That is very good. I think even though we had the most, Phil still won on quality per entry. All right, so that has been another episode, shambolic episode of M8-Bit. Hope you enjoyed it at home or wherever you are, on your commute perhaps, or in the office skiving off work. It doesn't matter. I've been Sam Riley, and this has been, to my right, as you can't see, David Hall. Say goodbye, David.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Fareed Athman.
Goodbye.
And say goodbye, the winner of our final challenge and joint winner of the day, Phil Cass.
Bye.
Goodbye!
You blow in here, David, and I'll finger you.